Hello, this is Context Channel. I want us to weigh in on the ongoing Operation Occupy Parliament, which is amazing. The Gen Z have outdid themselves and risen up and shown the leadership and the powers that are or that be, that Kenya also belongs to us, to them. And I can only commend them. I'm a bit older, so I cannot take any credit in belonging to that movement. However, I again have also experiences that I can share concerning what such movements can be. I have observed with concern President Ruto allowing in interference, foreign interference, as he was misled by some of whom he thinks are his allies. As early back as last year, we observed him allowing some organization, allowing the US government through the First Lady to donate some money towards some water project. And after that, no water project was made. And afterwards, what we saw was just protests. So the money provided by such organizations is somehow given or led, directed towards mass protests, and such protests appeared significantly afterwards. So Ruto's position is enviable. He's in a very tight position, and for his own doing, the moment you elect a president who is not concerned with doing what he said he would, becomes an airborne president, he's all over the world posing with the leaders of the West. It's amazing. It's amazing now what he called on himself, because it's not possible that some of the protests you see or those you will see are organic. As we say that some of us have no jobs, it's true. And if you don't have any job, what you do is you get something to live on. But there are those protests in which you see that people camp in cities. I saw them in Hong Kong, I saw them in Egypt, and I saw them in Libya. Some like calling them simply Arab Spring. And if you see young people camping in the streets for days and months, what do you think they eat? Can a normal person who has a bill, a rent to pay, and living expenses to meet, demonstrate for a month? Those are some of the questions that somebody can ask, but it is funny that President Ruto has allowed himself and those who advise him have let some shady organizations, probably the Open Society Foundation and maybe National Endowment for Democracy and other such underhanded organizations, and then atajua hajui. Those are some of the things they do. Like when you see the West, the US and UK start keeping their president close, misleading him, and around what you know is they are prepping a regime change in his country. We have been here before in the era of regime change, and he could not suspect because his ego was duly massaged. And then you might see the cadres protesting and camping on the streets for many days, and the outcome will be very interesting. We cannot predict. Simon, I cannot predict. Again, I would like to address now to the Gen Z, who I'm really, really proud of. They have risen up to this thing. To Ruto's thought that he can tax anything, everything. He thought it was smooth sailing. He allowed President Uhuru to loot this country, to hide the excess money, the stolen money in the West, in Panama, just like the Pandora's paper revealed. And then President Ruto won't just to march in pretending to be a hero and pretending that we are in debt. Of course we are in debt. It's true we are. But we know money was stolen in the previous regime. There was Afya House scandal, equipment leasing scandal, COVID millionaire scandal, and of course even BBI scandal and others. Money was spent and including that Huduma number registration scandal. All such money was stolen. A great deal had been borrowed, including the Eurobond. It was stolen by who? By the then president and his cronies and the company he kept. And then Ruto now pretends that he doesn't know why we are in debt. The sole reason why we are in debt is that such money was stolen and stashed abroad. It's money that we might never see again. And he's not going after those who did it. He's happy pretending to follow all the instructions from the IMF, which is a colonial enterprise that corrupt politicians use to fleece other countries to death. So President Ruto has a choice. Okay, go for those who stole Kenya's wealth in the past, including those he feel are close or powerful or untouchable, or watch as I think things are just starting with the kind of protest you see. Then you'll see you will see the opportunists joining in. Another thing I would like to note that is very important for everybody: you, the Gen Z participating, what is your goal? What is your goal in such protest? Because none of those organizers have capability to lead this country. Therefore, even if I have had such threats, some threats that there could be an Arab Spring style revolution. I can only laugh. None of the countries that went through such Arab Springs, whatever, starting with Tunisia, and I was here, I know, and I was none of such countries, including Tunisia, Egypt, Libya, Syria, or others, ever became better. So whatever you are told of a revolution and they think it is something romantic, it is not. Countries collapse, the rule of law collapse, and then opportunists, especially in the military and high political offices, they march in, they take whatever they want, and then in that period of disillusionment that can last for decades, your future is lost. So I think whatever we need to do is to follow the rule of law. The law is important. Like, the protest should now be about telling Ruto to concentrate on meeting all the promises he did, like he promised. So he must do it. That's what the promises should do. And in case of transfer of power, it must be legal, such that even the Gen Zs, the very courageous Gen Zs, as they should register their own political party, mobilize, and we will be voting them in the next election, such that they are the majority, so that they are the best representative who will have the best skills, then can be elected to take over power in a legal way, so for the sake of this great republic. Otherwise, obsessing over something called revolution is very risky. Several generations are lost. In such, the nation, the rule of law collapse, and then any social services, hospitals and schools collapse, such that only the rich now get education and healthcare, and the rest are left in a collapsed country for many generations before the rule of law is restored. So it's not right. It's very unwise to fiddle with the idea of a revolution. It's very irresponsible to even think about it. I have heard some opportunists, maybe politicians, including the opposition, saying that the youth should come out in the streets. Why weren't these opposition politicians starting such protests? Because they knew they had been given their own, they had been silenced, and then they think they can take advantage of what is going on. And let me tell you something. Another thing you never know about revolution is that a failing regime like Ruto's can also plan to take advantage of it in a great way. Those who were here in the 1982, they will tell you that attempted coup or attempted revolution of 1982 was the best blessing to dictator Moi. Like, he used it to solidify power around himself, banned elections, banned political parties, and then banned even civil societies and media and everything, such that now he solidified his position in power for the next 24 years. I'm sure Gen Z wouldn't like to live under dictatorship for the next 24 years. So kindly, let's think about what we want. Let's have a clear goal and set ourselves limit that the only transfer of power that can take place in this republic is a peaceful, legal transfer of power. Okay. Yeah, another thing I'd like to address about this police officer who blew his hand off. I can see Mutua trying to shift the blame on youth. It's not on youth. We can blame the government for probably poor training of police officers or maybe buying faulty equipment. We don't know. It's not the youth. Because if the government was responsible, could not have pushed people to the corner to the point of protesting. So while I, as Simon, will wish the gentleman who blew his arm off quick recovery as a human, I cannot absolve him, his team, and the government of responsibility of having done it. Because we don't know, maybe he mishandled the weapon, which is a possibility, or maybe the government bought a faulty equipment, which is government's responsibility, or a combination of both factors. So there's nothing there we can blame the youth on. So for that, let the responsibility lie on the officer and the government, and we hope the government will take care of that gentleman and his family, because it's sad enough to lose an arm. And Gen Z, Kenyans, thank you for your time. I hope we will be responsible. The greatest gift we have in this country is the rule of law. So everything must be done within the rule of law. First, notable is how the protests are no longer violence, which is commendable. The next thing is to ensure that they are not hijacked by opportunists. And the next one is to ensure future transfer of power occurs democratically, such that now the Gen Z can proceed to register their own political party, or parties actually, and popularize them, and also get in leadership positions so that they can gain experience needed, so that in future they can be MCAs, MPs, and the president and the governor. Context channel. Bye.